Hello everybody, this is a response video to some of the comments that I've had on my TikTok English teacher error videos, part 91. And I knew that this would bring a lot of comments, and I haven't been let down by you guys.
You are so wrong.
Wrong.
Present perfect
Present
continuous,
continuous
and
is
present
used when an
perfect
action
are
is
both
taking
tenses
place in a
used for
spontaneous
action
and
starting
often
in the
temporary
present
moment
and
in the present
explanation
time.
of the present continuous.
Present perfect
Present
refers to an
continuous
action
is
that
used
started in the
for what's
past
going
and
on
continues in the present.
with
Main
barely or
difference with
better
past
reference
simple.
to past.
It could
You
also
are wrong.
refer to a
Stop.
past action which happened
You are
close to the
I once
present.
looked
I've
up to
lost my
this man,
keys just
thinking
now.
that he was a guy that I could learn from, but lately, he's turned into a megalomaniac.
Now you're talking bananas. Sorry.
Not surprisingly, a lot of people have said, no, this time, Gary, you are wrong. This is not what present perfect is. And then they've given me an example of the use of present perfect. And they always tend to be the same sort of things, such as we use present perfect for a life experience.
When you say, I have this experience, you use present perfect. You're not mentioning details like time or anything. You're just saying, I have this experience. That's it. Use present perfect.
I was knocked down by a car. Simple past, not present perfect. But you try telling me that that is not a life experience. So to say that we use present perfect for life experiences is a meaningless example, because we use all verb forms to express life experiences. The second one that I have that people often mention to me is it's to do with something in the recent past.
It could also refer to a past action which happened close to the present. I've lost my keys just now.
But English doesn't have the notion of distant past and recent past. So the examples that I always give are dinosaurs have walked on the earth, and I have just been to the toilet. Dinosaurs, 2 million years ago? Probably more than that, I don't know. But me going to the toilet, 2 minutes ago. Clearly, we don't just use present perfect for something that happened close to the present time. Another one we have is, it's all about duration. And the longer something is, the more... Well, okay, explain to me what longer is. We would have to have a definition of what a long period of time is and a short period of time. In English, the only time that the length of an activity is important is in the continuous forms, past continuous and future continuous. But even then, it's not about the length of time of that action. It is about the length of time of that action compared to another action. So we don't have to say what a long action is or a short action is. We just compare it to a second action. And that's it. So it's very clear that present perfect is not about the duration of the action. And then the final one that I get, and this is the classic.
We use I have worked, the present perfect, to express an action that started in the past and continues up to the present.
Well, again, dinosaurs have walked on the earth. I have eaten my breakfast. I'm not eating it now. It is not something that continues to the present. Dinosaurs, they don't walk the earth now. So it's clearly not something that has an action in the past that continues to the present. So what is it? It is all to do with consequence. I have said in the past that the present perfect can be summed up in one sentence. And it can. And it's this. Present perfect is an action in the past with a consequence in the present. That is it. So when people try to explain when bad English teachers, when confused English teachers try to explain the present perfect, they always use live.
So the first one and the most common one is this. I have lived in this house for 3 years.
They cite that as an example of something that is still happening now. But there is more to that sentence. than these people realize. But using the same verb for the explanation of a verb form is not a good way to teach English. It's not a good way to understand English. And it's the same principle that people have when they talk about explaining the difference between in and on forms of transport. They will always talk about
on a plane, you get on a train, you get on a bus.
On the train, on the bus, on the plane.
But we can't challenge ourselves until we work at the extreme examples of whatever it is we are trying to define. So, for example, with public transport, let's look at things like a lift or an elevator if you're in North America. So one of the examples, for example, of explaining why we use in and on is if you can move around the vehicle, you use on.
If you can't move freely around, then you use in.
If you can walk onto the vehicle standing up on your feet, then it's on.
We walk into and freely move around in a lift or an elevator. So clearly that definition, that understanding, that explanation falls apart. And that's how we improve our English. We challenge ourselves. We look for the areas where we can disprove what we believe. And actually, this is true in all walks of life. You keep challenging yourself to say, no, if I may be wrong, how can I prove that I am wrong? How can I prove that I am believing something that is not true? It's actually a really good philosophy for life in general, but certainly for English. Keep trying to prove yourself wrong. Okay, now let's look at present perfect. I don't want to use, just at the moment, I have been living in X, or I have lived in X. Let's take something completely different. My favorite is I have eaten a banana. So we're looking at the verb eat. I have eaten a banana. One of the first things that I ask all my students is, do you know the difference between I have eaten a banana and I ate a banana? And the answers that I get to that question tells me so much about their level of English, their understanding of English, and the English education that they have had. It's surprising how much that one question can reveal so much about somebody's understanding of English. So let's break it down. We know present perfect is nothing more than an action in the past with a consequence in the present. So, I have eaten a banana. That action is now finished. There is no banana left. It's gone. It's in my stomach. But there's a consequence. I have eaten a banana, so now I am not hungry. It's that simple. So now let's look at I have lived in London for 16 years. There is a consequence to that. And that consequence is I have a really good understanding of the tube map in London, the underground map. I know quite a few of the stations on the Northern Line because I have lived on the Northern Line. If we add a time frame, I have lived in London for 16 years. Now that is still true now. I haven't lived in London for 2 decades or more. But it's still true that I have lived in London for 16 years. So I have a consequence that is 16 years worth of experience of London life. Now, the further we get away from me living in London and the more the city changes, the less consequence there is in me living in London for 16 years, because road signs change, the laws change, people change. So that 16 years just has diminishing consequence. But it still has some consequence. Now, if we say, I have lived in London for 16 years and I am still in London, the meaning of that sentence doesn't change because you have still had 16 years of experience of living in London. That experience will be more relevant than me because I haven't been there for 2 decades, but still, that's what we are focusing on, the consequence of 16 years experience of living in London. Now, the fact that you are still there doesn't stop us from using that phraseology, because after 16 years, you are now on your 17th year. So those 16 years of you living in London are in the past. That tells us that the definition of present perfect being an action in the past with a consequence in the present holds true. And years, I have had people come to me and say, no, present perfect is this. And then I give examples to prove that it is not that. It is not about duration of time. It is not about something that happened recently in the past. It is not about something that started in the past and continues to the present. And I can refute those with examples, such as dinosaurs have lived on the earth. I have eaten a banana. I have lived in London for 16 years, even though I am not there now. But no one has managed to come to me and explain, you know what, Gary, your definition of an action in the past with a consequence in the present is wrong, and here's why. If somebody did that, I would absolutely welcome it, because what that means is we are getting a much clearer definition of present perfect. And really, I think that's it. I have a video on my YouTube channel that explains the present, past, and future perfect. I will leave a link to that. Go and watch it. I also have a book that I am selling, which is about teaching yourself English, how you can become your own teacher. And I will leave a link to that as well. But thanks very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye now.